Hello, everybody, and welcome back at Adobe Live. I'm with the wonderful Lisa Carney. Thank you so much for joining us here today at Adobe Live.
Thank you, Kata. It's so good to be back. Thank you very much.
So me and Lisa share the passion, of course, for creativity. We're good friends, but we also share some Italian as well here and there. So
va benissimo.
Va benissimo. So we're very, very excited to have Lisa here. If you have not seen any of her stream, of her work already, make sure to go and check her Behance portfolio and all her link. I'm sure they're there. She creates amazing movie posters. I don't want to spoil anything. She's just got an amazing presentation ready for you to dive in just a second. But also she's an amazing photographer and she uses Photoshop. So her retouching kind of contaminates both apps. I think the creativity just takes her between the two apps. And we're going to dive in today to discover the brand new features of Lightroom, but most importantly, to discover Lisa workflow. And before we get started, I wanted to remind everybody that if you missed the previous stream, you can watch the replays here on Behance, but also is available on YouTube. So all you have to do is just go and click on the replay in order to see the amazing Ben Ward, which is a product manager for Lightroom, as he talked you through the editing workflow and answers a lot of questions regarding Lightroom. But also, don't be afraid here now to ask questions. Use the chat in order to ask any question you want about freelance life or editing, photography, Lightroom. Here with Lisa, as I always say, Adobe Live is a safe space for us to learn together. So why don't we just get started? And Lisa, please tell us more about you. I know there is a lot of information that you're ready to share, and I'm so excited to learn from you as well.
Awesome, honey. Thank you so much. Okay, so yes, we're going to be talking about Lightroom and the new features in Lightroom. And I like to do it this way. I'd like to talk to you guys about shooting and processing and some inspiration also, so that it's not just, oh, here's a new feature, use it, but why are you using this new feature, if that makes sense? So as some of you know, you're about to find out, I am a movie poster retoucher finisher. So I do both comping and design. I've been doing it for 1,010 years. You can have my links there. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, Behance, Instagram, the usual thing. And the interesting thing for me is, as Claudia said, I kind of balance both worlds. I work in a commercial industry, but then I also do my own art. So Behance and Instagram are my artwork. There's no commercial work on there. It's just my stuff. I teach a lot. Some of you guys know that. You can find me on Creative Live, and I have a whole mobile series. Mostly like 90% of it is all Lightroom, because I love Lightroom. I think it's the most amazing program in the world. It's really changed my life. You can also find me on the Portrait Masters for Lightroom, also Kelby One. You can see I'm a big Lightroom mobile shooter. But I do come from this movie background. And why I wanted to talk about that a little bit is I am a heavy editor. So when I'm showing you Lightroom stuff, I'm not showing you, oh, put 2 little points of green in it. I'm like, the background is completely different, if that makes sense. And I come from this background. I do illustration style, movie posters, standard, comping. I've been doing this a really long time. This more animation look, like with The Boys or DC or Marvel with Venom.
Just let's for just a couple of names there.
I've been doing this for a while. Spider-Man, Mary Poppins, but you'll notice the styles of all these are incredibly different. And that's something that really informs my work. I don't have one particular style. I mean, Christ, look at this. This is my 2 latest finishes. We've got We Feed People documentary and Bob's Burger. That was in the same week. So there's a little bit of
a fun life for sure.
Yes, so a little discombobulated at times. But seriously, for this course, why I'm talking about that, even though I'm here to talk about Lightroom and photography, you can't help what informs you. And Claudia, I think with your work especially, you're not afraid of any program. It's like it's the ecosystem.
Correct.
and really want to talk about this ecosystem. Like, Claudia, I don't know if you hear this all the time, but I do. It's like, oh, is it Lightroom Classic or is it Lightroom, the mobile version, or is it Photoshop, or, and it's not or, it's and. That's my goal. It's just and. So with photography, I hope we don't get too many chats about this one, like angry chats. I really think it's the wizard, not the wand. So while I'm not trying to take away your DSLR camera, I got to tell you, mobile nowadays is extraordinary. And I'm hoping I'm going to inspire some folks today to see how much you can get done with mobile and with Lightroom. But it's not the wand, it's the wizard. And that's really important. So, yeah. And I will take a moment to say that I know Claudia and I can both be like, someone said once, drinking from a fire hose. Because we got a little bit of energy, but what the hell, right? So
we're gonna have fun, Lisa, that's for sure. I mean, everybody's excited to learn from you. So please, just share with us your workflow and even this diversity in terms of ecosystem with apps and with your project and why do you do project. We're here to listen. I just want to give a little welcome to the chat because I haven't really said hi to anybody. I was just like, I'm so excited to have Lisa here. Lisa, tell us more. But I want to just say hi real quick to, of course, we have our lovely Cody Bear that is going to be sharing useful links in the chat. Also, I have a link that I can share with you. Hopefully, Cody, you can make a shareable link in chat so everybody can access Lisa deck as well, because Lisa's been so kind to giving us the link to access as well. We have Laura, Sean, Sylvia, Ides, Rocky in the chat. Rocky Montescar is here. Hi, Rocky. Lovely to see you. Ryan, Bruce, please let us know, as usual, where are you watching from? We are super proud and excited of our international community. I'm currently streaming from Manchester, UK. What about are you right now, Lisa?
Right now I'm in Los Angeles.
So we have Los Angeles and Manchester. Please let us know where else are you watching from. We're super excited to see and to learn where are you guys watching from. And also, again, Lisa is an amazing professional with a ton of experience. So this is the time for you to ask questions. So I'm just going to kind of compile them together and then I'm going to interrupt you here and there, Lisa, to pass you this question. So feel free to use the chat to interact with me and with Lisa, because I will be passing your question to her live.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome. So I was just showing that, in fact, let me just go back for a second. So with photography and just like movie posters, I do all sorts of stuff. I shoot every single day. It's a personal commitment I have to myself. So I like to shoot macro. I love shooting travel. I love doing editorial style work. And all these are shot on a mobile device processed through Lightroom, all of them. Wow. And I'll tell you, like, even with travel, I went to Havana. I went on this really great trip and I took a big fancy DSLR camera. I put that thing away day one and I shot the rest day one. All mobile. And I really love that. I love the flexibility. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that with the Lightroom camera in coming up in just a minute. I love doing portraiture, especially of my chickens. Well, my chickens are all dead now, unfortunately, but yeah, coyote got them. But I still got my dogs and my kitties. I love shooting portraiture of people. And if you see here, hopefully on the screen, you guys can see this. I tend to do black and white a lot, but I do other color stuff too. What I'm really looking forward to is showing you how different some of these images look when you start. Because again, it's all processed in Lightroom. So let's talk a second about the controversy. Let's get controversial. Oh my God, is it classic, Lightroom Classic? Is it Lightroom, Lightroom Mobile, whatever you want to call it? Is it Photoshop? And here's the deal, gang. ACR is ACR. Adobe Camera Raw is the same. Now, how it looks will be a little different. How it functions can be a little different when you're on a computer because of computational power versus a mobile device. When you're on this little guy, you don't have as much computational power, but it's basically the same. And if you guys can wrap your head around it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you're at and you're free. That's what I think. So let's talk about the differences for just a second. So I do not use Lightroom Classic, not because it's bad. It's strictly where the files are stored. So with Lightroom Classic, it's stored on your desktop or on your hard drive, however you work it. Lightroom is mobile, it's web, it's cloud-based. And that's where I want it because I am all over the map and I like to be flexible. So for me, this conversation, I'm only talking about Lightroom. It's not a diss on Classic. It's just that is where I live. You figure out where you want to live. And the stuff I'm going to show you, it still works. It still works on Classic. Okay. So holy shit. Oh, I'm so sorry. Sorry, nothing.
We just say bleep.
Sorry about that. New stuff that's coming out. And we're going to talk about this over the next 2 days. There's desktop new stuff. Do you remember earlier I mentioned the computational power? So there's some things called adaptive presets that Katrina Eisman made. They're amazing, but you need the computational power of a computer. So those are only on the desktop version. There's new presets. There's a preset amount slider that's awesome. Red aisle removal on the desktop. There's compare view, so you can see multiple photos. So you know when you shoot a lot and you don't know, is it that frame, this frame, that frame, this frame? So you have compare view now, which is awesome. And of course, very exciting, video editing. And then on the desktop plus mobile, you still have the new premium presets, which are really cool. These black and white, portrait edgy, portrait group, and subject concert. These are brand new presets. Again, that preset slider, group masking, like inverting and whatnot. So cool. And on an Android, you can do community search. I don't know how many of y'all just watched Aaron. Aaron just did a whole thing on discovery and learn. And I'm going to talk a little bit about it in just a second, but that is available on your mobile device if you're on an Android. Just want to be clear about that. Pretty exciting, huh?
Super, super cool. And I just can't wait to see all this and learning more. I think is super clear. Have you put all of this together, for us?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's so useful and so clear the way that you put it.
You know, it's interesting how some of us learn. Like I know when I watch other folks training and they're clicking around, I don't know where they're going to be clicking. And so it takes my eye a minute to get there. So you're going to see a lot of arrows and a lot of boxes and a lot of here, because I have to do it the way I learn. This is the way my brain works.
That's so useful. I think it's fantastic. So I'm
awesome.
actually going to share the link in chat right now. So you will probably see in a second, Cody Bear actually shared the clickable version of the link, and that will be the one that you'll be able to access. Also want to say in the chat that there are some friends we have, and you Canava as well, that just joined us in the chat. And we have Kevin Lewis and Steve. We have so many other people joining us in chat. So thank you so much, everybody. Everybody's excited to see and more from you, Lisa.
Awesome. Well, welcome to the hood, as it were. So one of the things that I really want to stress, this is super important to me, is the ecosystem. And what I mean by that is this is everything. This is your mobile device or phone. I like to call it a mobile device because it's now my camera. You know, a laptop, a desktop, a tablet. It doesn't matter. This is across everything. So I hope y'all really understand that, how flexible you're going to be. And that ecosystem, why it's so important is the work. So here I am, let's say I shot something on mobile and I do some editing. I need a little more real estate. I want to do healing, for example, in Lightroom. You're not going to heal on your phone, your fat old finger, not going to do it. You can do it on your iPad with a pencil, right? And then let's say you really, you've created something you really like. You want to make a big, huge print. You want to work on it more. You go to your desktop and then you have a huge amount of real estate to actually do your work. But mind you, I could go shoot. I walk in from outside or I come in from Cuba. I launch my Lightroom. Bingo. It's in my Lightroom. The minute I just have to turn my computer on and bada bing, it's there because of the cloud. It's awesome. So again, desktop. And then here's another function. I'm not sure if y'all know about this, is you also have Lightroom on the web. Now, why is that handy? I'll give you an example. I just did a catalog shoot not that long ago. And with COVID, you know, not a lot of people could be there. I had a creative director with me in the studio, but the other creative director was in Santa Monica on Lightroom and was tagging the images as we were shooting. The expediency of this is just phenomenal. So that's what I use it for.
So on the go, live, all the team collaborating together thanks to the web experience.
Yeah.
So
and can you
cool.
imagine how fast that is?
So
I mean,
cool.
so that by the time I got to the studio at the end of the shoot, I had the selects. It wasn't I'll email you in 3 days. It was no.
I mean, that saved us at least 2 or 3 meetings, isn't it?
100%. I can't even stress that enough. It's huge. And I find a lot of people don't realize the share function is the collaboration function is actually a work tool. Mm-hmm. It really is. Mm-hmm. So the thing that you're going to see today and tomorrow, and a lot of a lot tomorrow is going to be that, like walking through the files. Today's really me explaining what you're going to be looking for. But this is what got me to Lightroom. Being a Photoshop artist was the ability to experiment. So while I shot Jack in the Forest up in Lake Tahoe, I did these 2 edits while I was sitting there on the floor of the forest. So I could see if I had the shot. I could see if I needed to move or put a light in or do whatever, all while I was sitting outside, out in nature. I don't have to wait to go back to the studio and try to figure out if I got the shot, right?
So amazing.
So, yeah, so it's really, really important for this mantra I have. It's the ecosystem. It's no longer either or, it's and. And I use a lot of third-party apps to accentuate my work. How can I do that? Because they're mobile apps. So I'm on my mobile device, either my phone or my iPad, and I can do all these extra illustration combined with Lightroom and then take it to my desktop. So again, I've got more, it's more than just Lightroom is on all these devices. It's also, it gives you access to other applications, right? Okay, what are we doing? What the hell are we doing? We're storytellers. We are storytellers. So how can Lightroom help you tell stories? Well, look at this. This was an editorial piece I did during when Black Lives Matters first started coming out. And I was able to do this edit of Prajna while I was standing there. So I knew, gosh, do I need to turn around? Do I need to get a different light? No, I did it all right there. So you never leave the scene without knowing if you got the shot. And that's a pretty dramatic edit, I would say, just in Lightroom. In the old days, you couldn't do that. Now you can do all of that with masking. It's incredible what you can do. And so this is it. This is Prajna edited. You can see my little masks here. I should have labeled them. I'll label them next time. But there's the original, pretty dull, you know, snapshotty looking scene. But look what you can do with it. Again, all in Lightroom. This one's utilizing masking. On that catalog shoot I was telling you about, where that gal was in Santa Monica, look at the lighting. I relit this shot without relighting the shot.
Wow.
Right? Because of the masking.
Wow.
So I shoot it. The art director's next to me. She's like, oh, you know, I changed my mind. I want a glow behind it. I don't have to pull out another light. I figure out with masking. I did that in 5 minutes. I mean, I'm pretty fast at it because I do it a lot, but there's batch editing now. So I can take the edits from one shot and apply them all across the whole scene, which is amazing. So
basically, like, it's just going to look like you have a different lighting in studio, although it's just a setting that you're creating and applying to a batch. So it's just consistent. And it doesn't exist. You just make it, tailor it for the shoot.
Right? I mean, can you imagine how fast it used to be? Oh, pull the model out, get another light, do another test. No. And you can add logos in Lightroom.
That's so amazing.
So, why is this so cool? This is effing cool because your clients, like, these catalogs are e-commerce. They want it on social. They want it in a minute. I was able to do the shoot, make the adjustments, put the logo in, and she was sending out social posts instantly. So I'm going to show you how to do this all in this class. All right, moving along. Experimentation. Again, this is how I got excited about Lightroom. You can do all sorts of crazy ass looks really easy with Lightroom. And I think people don't realize it. Like, you can make a cyanotype. This is a preset I made. And I'll have that, Aaron Nace did this whole thing on searching for people's presets. I have downloadable presets in Lightroom in the discovery section, and you can download my presets or other people's presets. So there's one that will be up. It's not up, but it'll be up by the end of the day on cyanotype. Or what if you want to make something that looks like a line drawing or a blueprint? All in Lightroom. I mean, isn't that crackers? It's so flexible. I think it's flexible. So take this. This was a little study I did. I was feeling really old and ugly and wrinkly, and I got the whole waddle thing going on. But I had these peonies flowers, and they were dying, right? They're drying up. And I thought, Jesus, these are really beautiful. Maybe I'll make some pretty artwork and do something. So I just shot them on my kitchen table. And then, you know, I used a preset that I found through someone else on the discovery, and I made this antique look instantly. So I hope this is inspiring some folks to do some crazy stuff.
Everyone is excited. I mean, we don't have question, but everyone is like, great shot, amazing, wonderful. So, and I think that what you're showing, it really, you know, just really walking us through the potential and everybody is amazed of how crazy it is. Paco, we have our lovely Paco in the chat. So Paco is here always behind the scene. Our angels, and I say Lisa, Paco is always making sure that we look cool and everything works during the stream. So thank you, Paco, for all your help every day here at Adobe Live. And he was saying kind of crazy the things that he can do on our phone these days. Yes, I think Lisa, you're really showing us the potential of what and you know, on the go, especially, you know, finally we're able to travel again. I do the majority of my editing on planes and trains. That's just my times, you know, I don't even know where I am anymore. I mean, in Lightroom, that's my space-time travel sheet now.
Well, and again, Cloudy, what's so cool is you can like do that while you're standing there. So this is a shot. I mentioned I take a shot every day. I did this a few days ago. It's just a cactus flower, and I did it on my mobile device, edited it in Lightroom, and then took it to another application, which I'll talk about a little bit tomorrow, just to do this look. And then I only did one edit. I did the rest of my shooting, kept walking. And then when I got home, I applied the same edits, or, you know, more or less, and did some work when I got home. But the key was I left the scene knowing what I was going to do later. And I really want to stress that, because how many of y'all you shoot and you leave and you start working on it and you're like, oh, I wish I just had a half an inch on the right-hand side. Or, oh, I wish I would have had a little more light, or whatever. This way, you know, it's all flexible. And I'm going to talk a little bit about size also. I print these things huge. I print these things 27 by 40, and these are all mobile.
Wow. That's amazing. It looks like a painting as well.
Thank you.
Crazy, beautiful. We have a question from Rose Karen asking, what sort of phone do you have to shoot?
Okay, currently I'm using a iPhone 13, and I get about a 35 megabyte file. And then I'm gonna talk a little bit about something called super resolution that I use through Camera Raw to enhance the file size. I am not a Google shooter. It's not that I don't love them. I just don't have them. I don't have a Galaxy or anything. I happen to use an iPhone 13.
Amazing.
Okay,
perfect.
Cool. So I want to talk a little bit about inspiration, because as you're using Lightroom, you kind of got to know where you're going, right? I mean, sure, you can just throw spaghetti on the wall and see what happens, but I think it's important to find, I don't know, to practice and get inspiration. So there's some really great tools through Lightroom that I want to talk about real quickly. First of all, there's Lightroom Academy that Katrina Eisman started, which is extraordinary. There's Lightroom Discover and Lightroom Learn. So let me just show you guys this real quick. There we go. So on Lightroom Learn, in fact, I think I went back too far. Excuse me 1 second. We love Keynote because you can tag through this. One more. There we go. All right, we'll just stay in Lightroom. So with Lightroom Learn, you have this both on a mobile device and desktop. You can actually do community search. So you guys will be able to type in someone's name. Like if you like Nick Rains' work, you can type in Nick Rains and all his work will show up. This is brand new, the community search. It's amazing.
So cool.
Right? There's Discover, Lightroom Discover. And this is what it looks like on the desktop, on the right. On your mobile device, it's on your left. So if you're like Cloudy and you're in an airport and you've got a lot of time and you need to do something, forget TikTok, go to Discover and go be inspired. I think you'll find some really great stuff. With Discover, again, community search, it's all new. But even better, check this out. There are presets that you can download. So let's say you find someone's work that you super dig. You can download their presets if they've attached a file that has a preset downloadable. Amazing. So please, cool. Right? Go get inspired. Once again, the Learn and Discover are here on the desktop. I'm going to talk about this throughout the next 2 days. The desktop looks different than the phone, the mobile device. Please stop letting it freak you out. Don't worry about it. Things just look a little different. The interface, the UI is a little different. It's not a big deal. You can manage through it. Lightroom Academy, holy guacamole. If you haven't checked this out, please do. Please do. It's lightroom.adobe.com. It is a photography school. It is amazing. Katrina's doing the most amazing job. They go through there's interactive illustrations, and it's not just Lightroom. This is actually a photo school. Wow. Absolutely stellar. So please, please, please go check it out. I'm so amazed at how good it is. And again,
you're giving us so many golden information.
Oh, good. Lightroom Academy is this unsung. I think people haven't found it yet. And go look, you'll find it. It's amazing.
And all of that is in your deck, right?
All of this is in the deck. Absolutely.
Perfect. Before we move forward, I have pressing questions that
Yes.
I was already, I put in pause, but it's coming up again and again. So I must pass it to you. And it's regarding lenses. So we learned that you use iPhone 13. Do you use also external lenses or just lens built into the iPhone? And there was a specific question. So this is from Ryan, and also Laura previously was asking about macro shot with phone as well.
Okay, so I will tell you that strictly now on the 13th, I only use the 13 camera. I don't use external lenses because the lenses I use are moment lenses. And when I got the 13, they didn't have the adapter for it, so you couldn't use it. However, I still have my 12, my iPhone 12, and I use a moment macro lens on that. Now, let me talk about that for a second. There is a macro on the 13. However, I will tell you the fall off is a little more severe on the iPhone macro lens, and I prefer the moment macro lens. I think it's a much more beautiful lens. So I actually kept my 12 just so I could shoot with that lens. So right now I do not use external lenses except for the macro moment on an iPhone 12.
Perfect.
Cool. Any other questions? I'm sorry. Was there another one?
No, people are just amazed.
Yay!
About your work.
Oh, good. All right. So because it's all about the storytelling and purpose, again, I hope I'm not hammering this too hard, but I want to talk about jobs. Like hopefully people are shooting to make money, not just for love. And if you're shooting a social campaign or portraits, you really need to speak to the client. What does the client need? So this particular client, he is a therapist. He is old, young, couples, parents, corporate. He does webinars and he's writing a book. So he has a lot of needs. And how do you do a shoot and capture all those needs? And so I want to talk about the storytelling. How do you figure that out? What is the story you're telling? Like, do you know who they're talking to, who you're supposed to talk to? What's the lighting going to be? What's the environment? These are things I want you to consider when you're working. Perspective. Are you down below? Are you above? How are you shooting this? Keynote's going a little slow.
And in the meantime, while the keynotes load, I just wanted to also, in depth project it to your work as a movie poster retoucher, because all of that, in photography, of course, as perhaps easier to understand when we're talking about a movie, because that's a story, but it's still like a still image in which you have to convey and adjust with all your amazing retouch. So I think it's the same, if we just think and the same thread, what we're talking here about, using storytelling while shooting and while editing a photo.
Well, and I got to say, I think photographers are telling stories. They may not acknowledge it, but I think they are. We're telling a visual story. Check your composition, your framing, create a look. I'll go through this as fast as I can here. Graphics, adding graphics is important. Sorry, it just clicked on me. So
don't need to go fast. People are loving it.
Are they okay? Okay.
So informative, great tips. So take your time. Let's explore. We have so lucky to have you here. So please, let's go and dive in as much as you want in the information that you kindly put together for us.
Thank you, sweetheart. Graphics. That's again, I'm going to talk a bunch about adding graphics in Lightroom because people don't realize you can do it. And I think it's really important, especially for jobs. And your editing, obviously consider your editing. What's the purpose? How much editing do you need to do? Because also it's kind of like time's money too, right? Mm-hmm. So like that catalog shoot, I didn't make that new background 7 times. I did it once and batch processed it across a bunch of shots because time is money. So storytelling, it's about the message, the lighting, it's natural or studio lighting. Do you guys know that you can shoot with strobes with your mobile device?
Ooh, let's see in the chat.
Yes, you can.
Let us know in the chat. Let us know in the chat if you guys are aware of not.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. You can actually shoot with artificial light with your, and I'm not talking about the flash on the camera. I mean, your own lighting. Where are you shooting? Environment. Consider your environment. These are really important. Change it up. Dear heaven, stop shooting people full frontal. Ugh, it gets so boring. Have them turn around, turn sideways, something different, right?
I think my profile photo is being like on a side profile. And I think that none of my other pictures compares to that because it's different.
But it's different. No one, mine's, I have my, that's so funny, Kat. Mine is too. Oh my gosh. Let's take a moment, everybody in the chat, to wish Claudia a happy birthday. It was her birthday yesterday. Buon compleanno.
Thank you. Grazie.
Sorry, I had to call you out there. Hey, and with mobile, it's not like film days. You can shoot as much as you need. So don't be chintzy on shooting. And again, on the graphics, do you need to make room for the graphics? I'm going to show that. I think, Claudia, I don't know if you run into this on jobs, but people will shoot a job and they forget that there needs to be a logo in there, or there needs to be type.
Yes.
Story of my life. And then you end up having to extend a photo for days when you could have just moved when you shot it.
Yep.
Okay. Presets. Again, we're going to talk a lot about presets because I think they're amazing. And I keep talking about this graphic thing. You got to prepare your graphics in advance, and I'll tell you all about that. Okay. So much can be augmented. So what I want to say about this is that catalog shoot, right? Where I completely changed the lighting. I did that on my phone with my hand.
Oh, wow.
That was on my phone.
Okay.
I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you. And I think it's your secret weapon. So that's what I'm gonna say. I'm giving you guys my best tricks, as it were. All right. So once again, excuse me for my itchy nose there. Photoshop Classic or Lightroom, either or. I want to stress that I'm going to be showing you Lightroom, not Classic. It doesn't matter which device you're on. We already talked about that. And you're going to work cross-platform. Okay. So I think I have some duplicate slides here. Sorry. Let's get into
I love the way
Lightroom.
that you just gave us before the example. You know, you can take the photos on your phone and then you can refine it with the pen on your iPad, and then you can do, you know, leverage the power of the computation of an actual machine in order to take it forward and add even more.
Yeah,
I love the way that you broke down the different steps on like when to move, when it's time to move on a new device.
Yeah, because like the catalog shoot, I did it quickly on my phone, but for the ones that I sent the client that weren't being posted on social, I went in on check the mask on a big computer, right? Okay, so do you guys realize you can shoot through Lightroom Mobile? Lightroom Mobile has its own 5 set of cameras. Well, 5 cameras in the app Lightroom Mobile. If you're on an iPhone, if you're on an Android, currently you have 3 cameras. I mean, it's amazing. So if you shoot through Lightroom, you're already in Lightroom. You're already in Lightroom and ready to edit.
Loving this deck. Like,
oh, good.
I'm going to go ahead and like study and take notes out of these as well. As much as I use it, but I think I've never seen such a great job in terms of breaking it down, and because you're showing us everything next to each other, literally. So I always seen people doing it, and I think it can be, especially if you're not familiar with it, you can get a little bit lost, but I really love the way that you are showing us all this. So.
Oh, thank you. You know, it's that ADD brain of mine. I have to have context. Without context, I can't get there. So this is my way. I talk too fast, but I give you lots of pictures. And like for this camera, do people realize that there's 5 cameras, and with 5 cameras, look how different they are. Because you can see it right here. The interface is completely different. So you have automatic, pro, HDR, long exposure, and depth capture. Again, the last 2 are on iOS only. And I'm going to show you a demo of actually using this. I just want you to know what you're looking for before I get there. So those 2 additional cameras, you will not see them when you launch Lightroom. I'm sure there's people out at home launching Lightroom right now going, what the heck? I don't have those 2 cameras. Yes, you do. You go under the settings menu, you click technology preview, and there you can load long exposure and depth capture. Depth map support is what it's called. For you Android users, when it eventually gets to you, because it will come, they're just working on the technology, this is where you would look to see if you have it. Okay, under settings, technology preview. Okay, and then a funny question I get all the time, people say, how do I launch my Lightroom camera? I'm like, what? But okay, I need to answer that question. So if you have your widget, the little icon, you just click and long hold, and then you can go to take photo and it will automatically launch your Lightroom camera. You can also get it through the app, but I'll show you that in a minute. Now, I want you to do something for me. When you launch this camera, when you decide to try it, please, I'm begging of you, do an experiment. Shoot every single camera with the same shot. So do a landscape. I mean, these are crappy shots, but do a up close studio shot and do a scene with like some really harsh lighting. And you'll notice my ever so pro tip, take a little white piece of paper and write which camera you shot it with, because when it's in your camera roll, you're not going to know which camera you used. The only time you'll know which camera you use is when you have depth capture, because it gives you an icon. So do me a favor, look at it, like do this. It's worth it. And then
it's basically like a painter trying the brushes before starting to paint.
Bravissima. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. And on the depth capture, there's some limitations with that camera, which I'm going to show you in just a second. But where the magic on the depth capture camera is it automatically will make a mask that you can use in the masking section. It's a depth mask. It's a depth range. It's effing amazing. But you have to shoot with the depth camera to get the depth range mask. Okay. So I will talk about this again in the future. All right. There's camera settings that, I mean, it's amazing how many camera settings. I am going to go through this, but you've got exposure compensation, shutter, white balance. You've got overlays that you can lay and change your grid and do aspect ratio changes and set a grid level and all that. I am going to do a demo on this. I just want you to know it's there. Okay. And most important, you can shoot through Camera Raw. You can shoot a DNG. So most folks, it defaults to JPEG. And if you don't want to shoot JPEG and you want to shoot Camera Raw, you click on that little icon there with the arrow and you can set it to be a DNG. You can also go into the settings and tell Lightroom keep both a JPEG and a DNG or just a DNG. Okay. I know this is a lot of information.
No, I'm just smiling because everybody's like wizard, rock star. Yes, that's why I was so excited. I know that you know, I think it's always amazing every time that you come back here, Lisa. I think Cody Bear was saying it's always so amazing when you're here at Adobe Live. There is your approach. I mean, your experience, your energy, your approach, and it makes a difference when someone is passionate. And I know because I follow you, I follow your Facebook, your Instagrams, everything. So I know that that's your life, that you really do it every day. And it's part of your experiences, no matter if you go for a walk with your dogs or if you're just, you know, with your friends. I see you doing it every day. And I think that really makes a difference when you showcase it and you share your passion with us.
Thank you. I do love this stuff, as hopefully you can tell. All right. I'm going to do a little demo. I'm going to talk over this because this is the only way I could do this shooting thing, but I want to talk about the cameras, just a little 5 minutes. So you kind of have an idea of what you're looking at in the cameras. So you click on the widget to launch the camera, take your photo. You've got your 5 cameras. If you're on an iPhone, you just pick them, you click on the camera and you can select the other cameras. All 3 lenses are available. I'm on auto. You got, you know, ultra wide, wide, telephoto, all available to you. You just tap on the image, do the focus and exposure. It's pretty basic. Most cameras work this way now. There are presets. So you have 5 presets you can shoot through on the auto camera and the pro camera. And they're pretty self-explanatory. It's high contrast, flat, warm shadows, high contrast black and white, and flat black and white. And as you cycle through them, I want to let you know that Lightroom is always non-destruct. So what does that mean? That means you can take the color. If I shot with this black and white, for example, I can put the color back in the color module. This is just shooting in such a way that you can see what it's going to look like in black and white, but you're not committed or stuck with. I really want to say this one more time. It's non-destruct. You know, other apps you shoot in black and white, that's all you got. You pinch to zoom in or out like a standard camera. You select your camera. I'm going to go to the pro camera. Holy guacamole, you guys, look what you have under here. Exposure, second, ISO. Look at this. And if you change the exposure, you change the ISO, you have to go back and forth to get the exposure the way you want it. My dog Jack is hanging out in the background there, which is always fun. White balance control while you're shooting. It's absolutely fantastic. You got fluorescent, open shade, shadow, custom white balance control. I mean, it's really amazing. And then of course reset. So
Lisa, I have a quick question. Do we have all of that in the deck?
Absolutely. Oh, it's like a 100-page deck or something. It might be more than 100 pages. This thing, look at this thing. No one knows it's here. Manual focus on your iPhone. Look how cool, or Galaxy. I love this thing. It is my favorite. Do you see the green lines? That just shows you to see what's in focus. It's a help. You can turn it off if you want, but in the settings, but I like to have it on. The program camera also allows you to do presets if you like to shoot through presets. So it's really remarkable how much control you have. One of my favorite cameras is the HDR camera. Now the HDR camera is a little particular. It shoots 3 frames all at once, 1, 2, 3. And it allows you to, you know, use all 3 lenses again, like the other one, but you can't shoot moving objects with this. Teenagers and pets who are moving do not use HDR. but Martin and some flowers, I can do that. And again, you've got the manual focus, which I love with the HDR camera. Little caveat here, make sure you shoot for highlight. You want to expose for highlights on digital photography. I'm going to tell you the truth. The long exposure camera, not great. Don't love it. But you do want to use the anti-shake stabilization that is available there. Here's the glory beast, depth capture. So the depth capture has one lens only, kind of sucks because it's using the lens in front of your camera. So you're going to have to reposition and redo something. It's very tight. And it gives you an HEIC file format. That's what I call it. I don't know if people call it a HEIC. You can tap in the foreground, tap in the mid-range, or in the background. And again, the green lines you see that pop up, that tells you what's in focus, kind of gives you a clue.
So amazing.
This is effing amazing. I'm telling you, and most people don't even know it's there. So the hidden joy for me in the cameras is the depth capture camera. Now you can emulate this and work on focus inside Lightroom if you want, but I'd rather capture it that way and have the depth mask. Camera settings, was it Ben Ward? It was probably Ben and Aaron that both said in their last 2 sessions on Lightroom, there is so much under the hood in Lightroom. Everywhere you click, there's more underneath. So in that little button on the top that said camera settings, you have grids. You can put a golden rule grid. You can have a level, which will actually show you if your camera is level. So handy. Ratio, if you're shooting for social media. The highlight clipping,
so much practicing.
Right? The highlight clipping will show you if you're blown out. Highlight clipping is really important because you don't want to blow out your highlights when you're shooting. So there's a lot to look at. I know it's a fire hose of information just on shooting, but how do we even start editing if we haven't shot yet, right?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to give you guys all of this little bit of information. Now, I'm a Lightroom shooter. I shoot through Lightroom. If you don't want to shoot through Lightroom, you don't have to. You can shoot anything. You can shoot with your native app. And all you have to do is add your image to Lightroom. And you can do it here in the library panel. Click on the button, add from camera roll, camera roll, or from files. You can add from your DSLR camera. You can add on your desktop Lightroom and then open up your phone and it'll be on your phone if you happen to want to use it there. So you're not limited to the camera, but come on, isn't it awesome? All right.
Now that you show us all the inside out of it, like, why would you not use that camera? And by the way, Lisa, I wanted to ask you that question from the very beginning.
Yes.
Like, can you give us like a rough estimate of the photos on your mobile?
How many I have?
Yes.
I'll just look right now.
Is there
68,000 basically.
Okay.
Right? In fact, it might be on one of these screens. They'll probably show up. I do want to reiterate again, batch processing. So you can batch process mobile, iPad, desktop, but I do not do a lot of, I do not do image selecting on my mobile device. Look how tiny that is. No. iPad, maybe. Desktop, definitely. So for final edits, I just want to be realistic here. Like, how much can you see? So I prefer to do my final editing or selects on a desktop. Okay. All right. Really super brand new, important. I think I have a little new icon that will pop up. Batch copying and paste in AI masking. And if you notice here, it'll tell you it's on the ACR. That's Adobe Camera Raw. Also in Photoshop. Have I not emphasized that enough? In Photoshop, it's the same. Ecosystem, right? It's everywhere. So on this, for batch processing, that's on ACR or Lightroom desktop, Mac and Windows, or Lightroom Classic. It is not available on mobile. You can copy and paste settings, but you have to manually do it and they don't automatically update. And what I mean by automatically updating, and holy guacamole, the AI masking, which we're going to talk about in a minute, will automatically update. It's incredible. And then there's forward and backward buttons also on the desktop. Okay.
Wow. We have a question for you from Laura. So regarding shooting with a Lightroom camera, do all photos get saved in Adobe Cloud or can they be saved in your phone?
They are definitely saved to the cloud, but you can also save them to your phone if you need to. So how I choose to do that is I download to my phone selectively. Otherwise my phone would get too full. Because the cloud offloads so they don't stay on your device and your device doesn't get bogged down. So for example, if I wanted to edit something in an app on my mobile device that's not available, like an illustration app, it's not available in Lightroom, I would download from Lightroom onto my camera roll and then process it in another application. Cool.
That makes complete sense. And also the beauty of having an update on the cloud is that you can access it throughout any other app or your mobile, like everything is basically gets automatically updated.
Yeah.
It just takes a second. There is a little cloud icon that tells you like if things are getting caught up or if everything ready and updated. And that's the beauty of accessing in the ecosystem, because there is the ecosystem of the app and then there is the ecosystem of the devices as well.
Exactly right. And that's super important. And I want to take a minute to tell a little story about pain in shooting. So if I shoot in places where the internet is not available, like Iceland, Cuba, and Costa Rica. Now there was internet, but just sparingly. And I learned that after a trip to Costa Rica, where I was in a kayak in the mangroves with critters that you don't want to be in the water with. Boop, phone into the water. It was halfway through the trip. I lost everything. I lost everything that didn't upload in the hotel the night before. And it was slow. The internet there was super slow. So it was really crushing because I took my kid, like I took some really beautiful shots and I couldn't go back to this location. Like we had moved on. So now I have 2 or 3, I can show you tomorrow, hard drive devices that plug into my phone that I can download off of if I'm not where there is internet. Okay.
Amazing.
Just want to let you know sometimes. So the ecosystem, I keep talking about this ecosystem. So this is a iPhone shot with a strobe at Donner Lake at night. And the sky didn't quite look right to me. And I just wanted to add a little extra sky. I flew this into Photoshop and replaced the sky in 2 seconds, because that's automated in Photoshop. And I know this is not a big change. It's a very subtle change, but it made a difference. And it's because I can embrace the ecosystem and I didn't have to go, oh crap, the sky sucked. Oh, well, too bad. So sad. No, easy peasy.
And we go back, sorry, but I love to like keep everything together what you're saying, because it makes a ton of sense. It goes back into the storytelling. So as much as this sky is subtle in terms of editing, but it just gives a different story and it just kind of gives a different mood.
It gave more depth to the photo. Like it looks, to me, the image on the left, the original, feels compressed. And with the sky, it feels like there's a little more space in there, right?
Yeah, so the person just looks more relaxed and the entire environment looks more relaxed, and that changed the entire story of what's happening there.
Yeah. So again, I get to keep it. So how do you do that? Well, inside Photoshop, there's that little home button on the upper left-hand side, and you can click on that, and then you can have your Lightroom photos. So when my home page in Photoshop automatically puts Lightroom photos. So I see them there. I see all my folders and everything. Okay. So again, the lake shot. So look at the shot on the left, you guys. It's all crooked. You know, I'm old, man. Bending down to get these like ground level shots is a little hard for me, and I'm always a little crooked. Edited in Lightroom. There was no sky to bring back. It didn't exist. There was nothing to do. Sky replaced in Photoshop, 2 seconds. And notice the sky replaced in Photoshop put the sky in the water reflection too. See how it's warm?
So amazing.
It's so cool. All right. So
that was done automatically. So you didn't retouch the water yourself.
No.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. Super resolution or enhance. I just want to take 1 second to show you this. I'm going to talk about it again a little bit later, but I don't have a ton of time. This is effing amazing. This is how I get poster size files from my camera when I shoot. It's called super enhance, super resolution. It's in Camera Raw. You have to do this on a computer. You cannot do this on the phone. Okay. Super enhance. You'll have the deck. Worry not. Let's get to editing. How you guys doing? Everybody doing all right?
Everybody's so excited, and sky replacement is amazing, Laura is saying, but we're just super excited about learning the features. I think that everybody's still taking in how to using, the Lightroom camera. I think that what you showed us is really like a lot of professional information that you can also make your everyday because it's on your mobile. So I think that those are the doors that you're opening in professionally shooting while still using your phone. It just really closed the gaps for those that are looking to learn more. So cool. Andrew Atone is asking, is that Photoshop only? I think referring to the sky replacement.
Yes. Hi, Andrew. I love him. Hey, listen, this is a good time for me to talk about why I'm kind of throwing all this information at you guys. The beauty of Adobe Live is you can watch it later. You can rewatch these. So I know this is a ton of information and I'm not slowly mechanically going step 1, 2, 3. That's because you can go back and rewatch this and relook at it. I'm hoping you just sit back and soak this in and then come back and look later. Okay.
And plus we have your notes. We have your,
you got my notes.
You have the deck. For those of you who are just joining us now, Lisa has created this wonderful deck filled with informations and videos, and is available. Cody has just clicked, shared a clickable link on a Dropbox link where you will be able to access and keep that for yourself. I mean, this is real value. We have a deck full of information made from Lisa, which is the rock star of editing. So make sure that you really save that on your machine and save your link, bookmark it, put it on your bookmark tab, whatever it's called, because that's gold.
Cool. And they're complete with typos. That's how you know I did it. There'll be a typo or two in there.
Perfect.
So
I'm dyslexic, so
yeah, right. Most of us are. Most of us artists are. So listen, because I'm on the mobile device, I want to be really clear. There are 2 versions of Lightroom for a mobile device. There's a free version and the premium version. If you have a Creative Cloud account, which I'm going to guess everybody who watches Adobe Live probably does, you have access to the premium. You just have to log in on your mobile device with that. And there's some editing features that you will not have available to you if you just use the free version. Okay. So I just want to be really, really clear about that. I mean, really clear, because people get mad about this. So I don't want anyone getting mad. So the editing modules for me, this is where all the developing happens. This is it's a dark room in your hands. I mean, an iPad. You don't have to do it on phone. You can do it on an iPad too. Or what's the Surface Pro? Do you know that Lightroom on a Surface Pro is actually a computer? So that's actually a computer. That's not it's
not like iPad.
No, it's not an iPad. It's actual computer.
I didn't know that.
Yes. So it's actually way more powerful, just in case someone cared. Okay. So on the free version, you don't get masking, which you have to have masking. I'm sorry. You just have to. Healing tool or geometry, which is also amazing. So just to be full disclosure, let y'all know about that. All right. Here's what things look like on a smartphone or an iPad. This is what the developing modules look like. On a desktop, they look like this. Completely different. Please do not freak out. People freak out about this. So things are buried and the symbols are different. It's okay. It doesn't matter. You just have to get used to it. The functionality changes a little bit also. So let's talk about these amazing editing. There's masking. And again, there's now batch processing available with masking, and there's group inverting. I'll talk about that later. So there's some new stuff in masking. Healing tool. There's now on the desktop version, there's red eye removal, which is new if you need it. Crop tool, presets, really groovy stuff in presets. There's now new presets, which I showed you earlier, and I'm gonna talk more about that later. And there's also a preset mount slider that is now available, which is new. There is the light, there's color, and there's so much under the hood. There's more underneath here than I'm like every little button there has more underneath it. It's crazy how much is available here. Way more than I can go through, unfortunately. Details, which is like sharpening and noise reduction, optics, lens correction, chromatic aberration removal. Very good. Geometry is extraordinary. It'll let you straighten parallax lines. So geometry is stunning. Profiles. Definitely some cool profiles available for you. And versions allow you to save different pictures. So I don't know if you guys can see this on the screen. It's really tiny, but I have a day for night shot of this. I have a black and white shot. I have an original. They're all full DNG non-destructive edit versions.
Wow.
It's amazing. So you can have a whole catalog, like a whole catalog. I mean, you guys change your mind, right? I change my mind all the time when I'm shooting.
All the time.
Right? And you don't have to have like copy the photo and redo it. Lightroom does it for you. It's amazing. Cool. Versions are incredible. All right. Holy crap. Here is the desktop version of this.
And I want to like encourage everybody here to like ask question if there is anything, because we're going over a lot of content, and Lisa is a super pro. And if you're just a starter, if you're beginning, if you're just exploring, please take advantage of this time of you know, to ask any question you want, even if it's a question that you might think, you know, this is silly, this is a beginner. No, please take this opportunity of really learn together. Safe space here. I'm learning a lot. I'm taking notes. I got my notebook here and a pen. This deck is available for you, but also it's important if there may be some terms or something that you don't know, please ask and use the chat 100%. Here to interact with Lisa. So I will pass these questions.
In fact, let's take a minute and talk about this. So here is my goal, and this is very intentional on my part. I know I'm throwing a 10 at you. My goal is to have you look at this and go, geometry, okay, profiles. All right, I don't know quite about this, but I guarantee what's going to happen. You're going to watch Aaron's session. Aaron's got what, 3 or 4 Lightroom sessions, beginner on Adobe Live. You can rewatch, and then he's going to talk about profiles, and then you're going to go, oh, wait a minute. I know where that is on the desktop now. Oh, wait a minute. So the idea is you'll come back to this. It's just to plant a little seed inside there and come back to it at a later time. And you'll have that deck. Like, what if y'all look at that deck in a month and go, oh, right. She said something. All right, I'm going to keep going. Okay, so let's first talk about presets here. So the presets are a great way of establishing a look. And I know a lot of people like to go buy presets. I would like to encourage y'all to learn how to make your own. But okay, get some. There's plenty of free ones in Lightroom already available, but learn how to create your own and then realize how you can use them. So if you get a preset that you like I have John's fall social media campaign, I can apply the exact same preset to all the shots that we end up choosing to use and have a consistent look and establish a look. Okay. And look at this. This is what I meant by versions. The same boat shot 2 different shots of the exact same boat. Look at the different looks I can get using presets, like completely different. And I can save them all. You don't have to pick it and then only have that one. You can have the warm one, the teal one, the day for night look, or the black and white. I mean, they're absolutely amazing. So, right? Totally cool.
I love the fact, like, I can't get over the fact that we're actually seeing everything together. Like the way that you put together this deck, I think it is really, you know, amazing information for everybody to have access to.
Oh, thank you, sweetheart. So let's talk about overwhelm for just a second. Look how many presets there are. There's a ton. This is too much. So I'm going to make a suggestion. Practice. Like I mentioned earlier, I shoot every day. So go shoot a cactus flower, go shoot a peonies, and try everything, like just on your phone, sit there, have a cup of coffee and click through every one of these presets. Just click through them, see what you get. Nothing, something may not stick, it doesn't matter. But then eventually what will happen is you'll come up on a job and you'll go, oh, portrait, black and white, frame number 4. I know which preset I want to use. But I find there's linear learning when you're first starting out, and then there's creative process. Learn linearly. Do you know what I mean? Don't try this out when you have a job and you have a deadline and you have to get something out. No. This
crash test when you're on time.
Exactly. So I want to be really clear again. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 new presets that are really cool. Portrait, edgy portrait, group, and concert. And then that preset slider is really cool. I'm going to talk about that in a minute again too. So those are new. All right. Because I am here to talk about new.
Yes, and since we are at the hour, let me just like do a really brief recap here. We are with the amazing Lisa Carney. I don't know where to start to say retoucher, photographer. We're here together with Lisa, which is the rock star of retouching. Let me do it like that way. That's my way of introducing you now. And also we are going over all these amazing features. We're exploring Lightroom on mobile. We're also talking about the ecosystem on mobile, iPad, you know, cross devices and cross app editing. And we are here. We're going to be here today and tomorrow. So feel free to ask your questions. Cody has just shared again the deck. We have another hour together. So really take advantage of this time. We're also most importantly exploring the new features which have been released on Monday. So a ton of new information, like we just seen these new presets, and let's dive into more.
Okay, cool. So like I said, the brand new presets are available, and you'll see, do you see the number next to it? There's 12, 12, 8, 11, 12. That means there's 12 presets within that. So when I talked about under the hood, like, yeah, you got black and white, you click on that and now you have 12 more buttons to push to see what you have. And then you can edit on top of that. So it can be a little overwhelming. I do want to reiterate, they now have video. You can now do video. And I'm going to talk just for a second about this. I'm going to show this to you tomorrow. What that means is when I do my Instagram posts and I have a shot that I put up, I now can do a behind the scenes shot and use the same profile preset, excuse me, and get the same look. And I have like, for example, I'll tell you why this is important. I'm a still shooter. I'm not a video shooter. I find this very challenging, but I actually sell my prints. So I have a LisaCarneyPhotography.com where I sell prints. Well, they're very clear about marketing. When you're trying to sell your work, you have to do stories on Instagram. You have to do video engagement. And I'm like, oh God, please don't make me do it. Yes, you have to. And I've worked so hard to craft a look on my image. And then I've got this crappy looking video because I'm not a video shooter. Well, now I can apply the exact same presets and editing to my videos so that my Instagram feed looks really concise. So you definitely want to check that out. So presets, this is the mobile version of presets. There's Jack. And I just want to have you look at this bar. I love Jack, even if it's his back. So what? There's recommended, there's premium, and then there's yours. And the recommended, look at that screen, the second button, that is AI technology. So the AI technology in Lightroom is going to say, hey, what does this image maybe need? So it gives you a boost. It helps you. I use this all the time. I mean, all the time, because look what happens. The whole AI is going to tell you, I'm laughing. Jack is next to me and he actually just moved the curtain. So my lighting just shifted. Thank you. I think you heard me talking about him. So
is your AI in reality?
That's right. That's my pets. Absolutely. Wait till the cats come zooming by. That'll be the next one. So anyway, the AI will give you suggestions. Now, I really love this. You guys ever been on a job and you just feel dry? Like you just don't know what to do? It can be really hard. So let's check out the AI. Now, on this, I'm going to show you a demo, but this is going to be the desktop. And again, with presets, I'm going to tell you, I kind of prefer the desktop because it's just so much easier to see. So watch this. As I go through it's going to be really fast, but as you click on any of these little functions, you can see it. I haven't committed to this. I'm just rolling over the presets. Rolling over and I can see it big, large screen. And then I don't know if you guys can see popping up. There's something it says, I love the black and whites here. It says more like this. So if you head down a rabbit hole that you like, you can click more like this and it'll give you more inside the functionality. And then if you notice the sliders, the editing sliders on the right are moving. You can adjust those after the fact. So let's say you find one you really dig, you can just, go to the right and say, oh, but the shadows got a little too dark. No big deal. Let me adjust that. So isn't it great? And look, do you see the similar? Look at that, similar too. So let's say it's not exactly right. Okay. And then once you've created, you've selected a preset and you've made it yours, you can then save it out as your brand new preset. So do you remember those pictures of John, the fall look? I picked a preset. AI generated one. I had Lightroom help me out there. I made a few adjustments and then I saved it out as John fall look preset. And then I had it and I have it from now until the end of time. So again,
there was a question, Lisa, that I think you're answering now already from Fadi Yosuri. Is asking, this is amazing. I wanted to ask a quick question. How do you deal with creative block? I mean, I think that we're literally already talking about it.
And this is, this is legitimate. I have creative block all the time. So I'm going to tell you, things will happen. Like I did this whole Day for Night series. And then I thought it was really great, really expressive. I really loved it. And then I immediately thought, I will never take a good picture ever again. Literally. That's what I think. And then I go out and I shot those cactus pictures I just did the other day, which I think are really cool and don't look like anything I've done. So I think that to answer your question, for me, for creative block, the first thing I do, no matter what, is I shoot every day. And by shooting every day, here's what happens. There's no preciousness attached to it. Do you know what I mean?
Doesn't matter. I mean, I think that's I was reflecting on that, because as I say, like, I do follow you, and I do see that, you know, she does it, like, you know, she really, really does it every day. I see some amazing pictures, and I think that that's, you know, someone of your stature and someone that has so much experience and so many amazing clients, you know, you could just simply sit down and think, you know, I've done it, I'm doing all this cool stuff. And it's so humbling, and it's so important that someone like you shares how relevant it is to learn, just to go there and experience and explore. No matter how many jobs have you done, you just still go there and explore. And I see you doing every day, and it is truly inspiring.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and we all get blocked, honey. We all do. So I will tell you the second thing, aside from shooting every day, I'm not kidding you, the recommended presets is one of my 100% go-to places to try to, just because I'll look and I'll go, oh wow, that never can. Hey, like I shot a picture of my son the other day. I'll show you guys later. If not today, I'll show you tomorrow, where I had something where all the highlights were dropped way down. And I was like, oh my God, that looks really cool. I would never have thought to do, I would never have made that editing decision. But because I clicked on a preset and it did it for me, I went, oh. And then do you guys remember the discover and learn? I would say more than the learn, the discover section is really where it's like, oh, wait a minute, look at that. What happens if you change all your reds to green? Because someone did that on the discover.
There is a question here from Bruce. Quick question. I noticed that your cloud in the top right corner. How do you get rid of that explanation point?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that question?
Oh, I think there is an exclamation point. If you see on your top screen, there is an exclamation point next to the cloud. At the very top of the screen.
Yeah, I don't know. Tell you what, email me, lisa@lisacarney.com, and I will answer that question later, because I don't know.
I think that's just a sync notification. So
and I'm probably not synced.
Some doubled, or you know, it's not fully synced, or some images are double. It's just resolving notification. But yeah, Lisa, I will be able to explore that with you. And also we're back tomorrow, so maybe we can explore on, because I think tomorrow you're going to be in-app
in-app
editing. So tomorrow we can definitely dive into more like opening up all these of this feature. Today we are having this wonderful overview of some of the amazing, a lot how do you say a lot and some at the same time in English? All these wonderful features that Lisa is showing us, and many of the brand new features that have been released on Monday for Lightroom.
And I appreciate you guys humoring me, and let me do it this way, where I actually show, like, this is what we're going to talk about, and then we'll show it. So we
have Marsha that's saying, I postponed the meeting to see this live. So, you know, I think that you're doing us a favor.
Awesome. That's awesome. All right. So let's talk about masking, because this was a game changer. Huge game changer for me, for my work. And this is what moved me out of Photoshop into Lightroom. So Ryan Benoit had mentioned in the thing, he needs to learn more about Lightroom. This was in Aaron's or Ben Ward's session, and he's in our session now, I think right now. And here's the thing, I'm a Photoshop user, and I kept thinking, what do I need Lightroom for? I don't need Lightroom. I use Photoshop. I don't need Lightroom. And then all of a sudden I realized I could do extreme editing, like you see here. While I was in the location, I went, oh, I need Lightroom. But it took me seeing this. I didn't know that you could do this before. And this is all masking. So with the AI technology on the phone and or on the desktop, I want to be super clear, this is available on both. You've got select subject, sky, brush, linear, radial, color range, like holy crap, luminance range, and depth range if you shoot with the depth camera, to just be perfectly clear. Now, and look, this is how I made that shot from daytime to, I mean, not daytime, but I relit. Heckfire, do you guys notice? He's got a blue background now. He had a gray background before. He's got a blue background. Not only did I change the lighting, I changed the color, all with a mask. And you'll see on the mask to the left, it's a camera left glow added. Actually, it's camera right. That's how dyslexic I am, because I can see it's actually a camera right glow, but whatever. Glow behind, the model got adjusted, the background tone and color was all done in masking. And on the deck, you'll see you'll have all these definitions, so you can look at the deck later and you can read more about it. It's really important that you guys know this. Inside, when you're masking, you only have access to light, color, effects, detail, optics, previous and reset. So you cannot do geometry in a mask. Okay. That's just really important that you know that. but you can also combine masks, which is amazing. And I'm going to show you that in a bit. There's a lot to this. Again, I like to show you first what we're going to talk about and then talk about it later. Because I think this is where people never get this information, because someone will show you masking and then you get all, oh, wow, that's cool. And no one says, oh, did you know that there are 42 masks you can have? Yes, 42 masks. How do you add a mask on mobile? You click on the little button. Do you see that little white line there with the add mask? You can slide that over so you can see more, because your real estate's really small. So whenever you see a white line on the Adobe mobile app, that means you can pull it out and it's a drawer. Okay. Think about it that way.
That's a really good way of saying it, because there are a lot of drawers.
Yes. Oh my God. So the why masking in Lightroom is so amazing is because it's AI technology for the select subject, the select sky, color range, and luminance is kind of AI technology. So you do have to be connected to the internet for that, just so you know. Look, this is how things look different. Select sky, on the left, you'll see is the mobile device. On the right, the menu looks different on the desktop, but kind of similar. The pins look the same. Okay. So don't freak out too much, but it does look a little different. So check this out. What does select subject do? It's amazing. You can do chickens. Didn't quite get her feet, but that's okay. Trucks, cats, like fur and hair. It is absolutely amazing. Do you notice those colors are different? You can change the mask color. This is really important, because I'm going to tell you, on a red chicken, a red mask is not really a great idea. It's hard to see. Okay. Now, what if you want to do the background? There's no select background. You invert. Okay. It's very clear. There's no select background button in Lightroom, but there is invert. So you just flip it. Okay.
And this is part of the brand new features.
So amazing. And you can invert groups too. Very, very cool. I mean, it's a huge upgrade that just came out. You guys should be like, woo.
Yes.
Well, at least I am. All right. Here's the thing. The select sky is amazing. Look at those trees on the fire truck. Or, the middle picture of the Alabama hills in California. You couldn't do a select subject. The AI technology could not recognize the Alabama hills. It could recognize the sky. So what I did to actually be able to manipulate the rocks is I selected the sky and inverted it. And then on the right here, this is a picture. I can't remember. It's in Savannah or South Carolina. Might be Charleston. I don't know. Doesn't matter. That statue with the tree with the red mask, really hard to see. Well, the mask, you can also change the view so you can look at it in black and white.
Wow.
Look how intricate that mask is. And because it's AI technology, it really gets the fine detail. I'm not selecting that. The computer is. On my phone.
It would have been nearly impossible to do that on a mobile. That level of
on a
details.
mobile.
You can zoom as much as you want, but
and and I'm shooting DNG raw, so it's got data to pull from. Okay, it's got more data than I can see on the phone. So it's pretty incredible. So I mentioned the colors. The colors are really important. So on the phone, you can change it to 3 different colors. You can red, green, or blue, right? And the overlay, and it's very handy to change this. But because there are 17,000 drawers in Lightroom, if you click where it says, it's right in the middle, it says color overlay, and you see those 3 little dots of color. If you click on that tiny little delta or triangle, crap, look at this. Now you have a whole nother section, which is color overlay or black and white or image with image on black and white, image on black, image on white. I use the black and white a lot because I can see, it helps me see differently. And plus from Photoshop, I'm kind of a mask person that way. There are different mask options. You can hide them, rename them, duplicate them, delete them. You can add and subtract.
And
I mean, it's crazy.
And for those that are not aware of how the mask work, can you just tell us like a little bit of a basic of the black and white mask? So what shows? What reveals, how does it work?
Actually, thank you so much for asking the question. It is just an overlay. It means nothing other than how it appears on your device. Okay. So it's just, if you want to see, is it getting all the hairs? And sometimes the overlay is hard to see. So the overlay is literally just how it views, kind of like in Photoshop. So it doesn't, functionality wise, it doesn't do anything. When you have made a mask, you've done nothing but make a selection. After you make the mask, you then have to do editing, which we will definitely do. And I will show you how to do that. So making a mask does nothing but make a selection.
And the overlay just shows where is the selection.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Some people like to see the overlay. Some people don't. Hence why they have hide or not hide the mask. Okay. The minute you start an edit, the mask will disappear so you can actually see your edit. And please, I beg of you, when you can, label your masks, as always. The pins are important because the pin icons will show you which mask you used. Okay. If you care. Again,
we have a question, sorry, from Bruce. Sorry for interrupting you.
No.
So Bruce is saying masking seems amazing in Lightroom Classic. It is amazing, and is asking if the AI technology in Lightroom Classic or Lightroom is different than the Photoshop one.
No, ACR is ACR, my love. Why that is so effing amazing is once you've learned it, you have learned it. So let me tell you this. I can take this picture of Prajna, make my editing selections, save out a DNG, very important, save out a DNG from Lightroom, open it up in Camera Raw or open it up in Photoshop. When you open a DNG file in Photoshop and it's a smart object, I can double click on that smart object. What pops up? Camera Raw. And that means I have full access to that mask all over again. And I can modify it, make it tighter. I can change the edit. So this is ecosystem conversation here, completely across the board, exactly the same. And that was an awesome question. Oh, little typo there, sorry. So again, you can invert the mask, select subject, and then invert, and then there's that pull out menu. So on the right-hand side, I showed it to you before, you could see all the masks. On the left-hand side, you can also pull it out and you can see invert or delete if you need to, which I think is kind of handy, right?
Super cool.
Okay, so here you go. Look what you have. Look at these choices. You have select sky. You have the brush. The brush is amazing. I mean, this would be a whole class on just masking. In fact, I have a whole class on masking on Creative Live, and I think it's 2 hours on just how to use a masking tool if you guys are interested. There's linear gradient.
Do we have link to access it on your website? Where can we find
yes, actually, thanks for saying that. If you guys go to my website, all my classes are listed there and with
Perfect.
links. Thank you. That was very kind of to mention that. Radial gradient, awesome possum sauce. Please note the radial gradient, you can invert, right? Do you see the invert button down there? That means you can do a vignette with a radial gradient. Color range, you can select individual colors. I mean, it is crackers how incredibly detailed this stuff is. Luminance range, so you can select tone. I could select just the shadows if I wanted. Everything has an invert. So I can invert that, and then I've selected, if I select the shadows and then invert, I've now selected the midtones and the highlights instead. Pretty amazing. And you can combine and subtract using these. Okay. You guys good with this so far? I know
everybody's excited. Like everybody's excited about amazing content, so much to learn. Seriously, we are excited about everything that you're showing us.
Awesome. Awesome. And again, I know today's a bit formulaic, like a little dry because a lot of keynote stuff, but I think this is really important that you know where to look. So let's talk about this for masking. On the upper left-hand side, you'll see those are what the masks look on a mobile device, right? On the right, or the big picture, this is how it looks on the desktop. Same exact functionality that you saw with that little phone, only now it's on the desktop. But check this out. When you click on the overlay, mask overlay, you can select any color. Any color.
Lisa, I'm sorry, but like I must say, I think that HelpX, Adobe HelpX, I think they should have this deck, like, okay, because it's everything put together, and I never seen before having the functionality, next to each other like that, which makes a huge amount of sense. And even me, I've watched a lot of videos, I've watched other presentations before, and you're always stuck in the moment of what you're doing, which is great. But I think that then when you're on your own and you're just starting, you get lost, and it's intimidating if you don't know the app. So what you're doing here, you not only are explaining this, but you're really showing this ecosystem. Not that we use the word, but here it is. Like,
this is important. Well, I'm going to tell you a deep, dark secret. This is how I had to learn Lightroom. I could not just go to Lightroom on my phone and just learn it. I had to make a diagram for myself because I couldn't learn. My brain just doesn't work that way. So I actually started making these kind of things for myself because I was like, hey, listen, I did want to tell you, if you make a mask change on the desktop version of Lightroom, like let's say I make it purple or muted green, it will show up on your mobile device with that color. How cool is that?
So amazing.
So again, the interface is different, but don't let that throw you. All right. What did I want to tell you about this? Basically it's the same, but do you notice the add and subtract buttons look different? Like it's they're off to the right there on the side. So it's a little harder to, just get used to, I guess is the word I'm trying to say.
Well, but we have your deck, so we know what to do now.
Yeah.
We know where to go.
Right. Now, and again, the superpower is in the adding and subtract. So with that guy who, and the gal, when I had to lighten their background, I put a glow behind them. How I did it, and I'll show you this later, is I did a radial gradient, and then I flipped it, and then I subtracted her out of it so that the background got the effect, not her. So I'll show you how to do this. But again, all of this translates. You can do this on your mobile device and then take it to the desktop and open up the exact same mask. Okay. Which is why it's good to label them. Okay. Label them.
Layers.
Well, because they look different. Like on the phone, they show up all on the right-hand side and you kind of see them. And on the desktop, they show up differently. It shows up as mask 1 and 2. So it might look like it's a different order. It's not, but with your brain, it's just a little better to do that. Here's a little thing I learned recently, which is that sometimes the mask you think you're going to pick isn't the one you pick. So sometimes the right one is select sky. Sometimes it's color range. Sometimes it's luminance range. So please try all of them. Don't presume if you click select subject and it doesn't quite work right for you, try another mask. Okay. And you can see the little gray icons and it shows you what it gets. So actually the select sky on the second one did a really great job selecting and giving her a little wraparound. So I ended up using the select sky and inverting it for her because it softened the edges. Now that's not very intuitive. That seems backwards, doesn't it? But if you see on the second image, she's got a little pink on her hat. And when you invert it, it means there's fall off when you make the correction, and made the correction not look so cookie cutter.
Yeah.
So
I think that's so great. Like to experiment with it, because I never use the one like that is supposed to be used. Like I don't use sky to sky.
Right? Me either. We're always pushing the envelope here. So again,
and we have a question. Sorry, from Color. I have an Android. Which app will I have the camera?
Yeah, the Android has Lightroom Android has a camera. Absolutely. But you'll only have 3. You'll have Auto, Pro, and HDR. You just won't have depth capture, but it's still great. Use it. Don't let that throw you. Eventually, depth capture will come to Android. The issue is just that Android technology has so many variables, and an iPhone, it's like 1. So it's easier for the engineers to actually build an app for an iPhone than an Android. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So editing modules, again, I want to reiterate, this is super important. You don't have all the editing modules available when you're masking. Okay. You just don't. So we'll talk about that as we go. I just don't want people to be like, hey, I made a mask. Where's geometry? Ain't going to be there. And then you have options. You can rename, duplicate, add, subtract, turn off and on, invert, and delete. And again, cross-platform. Once again, these are the modules that are not available. Okay, just to manage expectations. And look what you can do. I mean, you could take look at my little cute kids. You can take a kind of standard looking shot and really bring out the focus. You just use multiple masks. Okay. All right. I want to.
And these models are gorgeous, by the way.
Thank you. For those of you who don't know, that's my son. So, well, the last one, not this one. All right. So the relight, we talked about this earlier. The relight, you can see the masking modules on the right-hand side. This is how this was done. And I think this is where you really start seeing the power of Lightroom. I changed the color and relit it. I'm going to go through this fast because I want to show some more stuff. We talked about the ecosystem, cross-platform, ACR is ACR. You just have to look in different areas for where the masks show up. Don't let that throw you. You retain your mask. So if you open it in Photoshop, I'm going to say it again, it's in Photoshop. Now, do the unexpected. This is where, again, I want to stress the power of Lightroom. So this is a shot in Cuba. Yeah, I do black and white, but wait, you can do a wacky posterization in Lightroom? Yes. And how do you do this? And again, you got to look under the drawers in unexpected places. So this happens to be the light module that I'm going to use. And inside the light module, look here, gang, curves. Who's seen this? Who knew that there was a curve module in Lightroom? It works.
Lots of a hands up in the chat, by the way, when Lisa asks us questions. So if you guys knew, just give us a little hands up icon.
Cool. So there's curves. I'm on my phone here, ladies and gentlemen. And look what I can do in the curves. I can click on the blue, and if you pull up or down, you get more blue in the highlights or in the shadows. Do you see it's a full curve? I can do a wacky S curve in the greens. I can do a wacky S curve in the reds, and you can get amazing different looks. And this is when my brain went, oh, oh, Lightroom is not what I thought it was. And this is where it gets interchangeable, if you will, right? Interchangeable with Photoshop. Like it's not either or, it's and. And now I really hope I'm about to blow your guys' mind with what you can do. I hope. So do the unexpected. This is a huge unexpected, I think. So many people don't realize you can add logos in Lightroom when you output. This is huge. So I do a lot of social jobs. I get paid to go out on a paddleboard and shoot. Well, while I am shooting, I can actually add the logo. Why is this important? Because I need to know if I have room. Can you imagine I'm out on that lake and I shoot all these people and then I get back and I'm like, oh my God, I need 2 more inches on the left-hand side. Ugh, no, I do it all while I'm on the phone. So it's really important. I'm going to say this 17 times. You have to preload your graphics into your phone device. If you're shooting mobile, you can't do this on your DSLR camera. You can't do this on your DSLR camera. Let me just put that out there. You can't do this. So this is another reason to shoot mobile. Okay. But again, it's all about composition and positioning and also editing. Like, do I need to make it light? Does the sky need to be lighter? Well, sky, we saw that mask, right? The sky mask. I can make the sky lighter if I need to. All right. So how do we do this? So I'll take a shot. I will have preloaded my graphic. I do my editing and then I load it. I'm going to show you this in just a second, but bear with me. What else can you do? You can do banners. So let's say you're doing social posting. This is not my photo. This is for a bakery in Reno, Nevada that I absolutely love, Penryn Bakery, amazing food. Now, whoever shot their social shot, it wasn't shot to the right ratio. So it didn't quite work. And this is another point. I mean, it works well enough, but this is another reason why you do this while you're on location, because I could have put the banner in and gone, uh-oh, I need to lift up about 2 inches, reshoot it. Now it'll fit, right? It's all about making money, ladies and gentlemen, and saving time. All right. So you can also do a logo like this. I think I mentioned we had this client that makes this clothing, Revolt Wear. They posted this the day of the shoot. Like it went out immediately. And again, I could change the light. So I'm going to play a demo. This is how you do this. Okay. So this is, I don't remember how many minutes it is, but
keep your eyes peeled.
3 minutes. All right. So what's going to happen is you go to export as to do this. This is on the handout. I'm going to go over this a couple times, so don't worry if you don't get this. So how do you you go export as and you go to include watermark. So a logo is really a customized watermark. So how do you do that? You go under sharing, the sharing menu. It's that little paper sign and you click export as. Under that, you've got all sorts of juicy bits, TIFF or JPEG, custom size, 8-bit, 16-bit, compression, watermark, and you want customization. So you're going to click on that. It has to be, it's important, a TIFF or JPEG. You cannot add a logo to a DNG. All right. Once you click there, you select graphic, right? And when you select graphic, you come down to the next little window here, and that little plus sign, you navigate to wherever on your cloud or device you have your logo saved. Okay, this is really important. That is where you put your logo. So on mine, it happens to be on my iCloud in a folder called Logos and Graphics. You'll see I have a bunch because I use it all the time. You can also click the Browse button and browse on your device. I cannot tell you where you put your files. I can't tell you on a Galaxy where you do this. Okay, so here again, export as, JPEG. You could do it on TIFF also, but this was for a social post. Okay, so I just did a JPEG. I did small. You can click your size. Yep, largest dimension available. So once you click it, now pay attention here, gang. This is where you do your placement and size. So you can see I have an old Circle R logo. That's just if you wanted to Circle C. It's flipped because I flipped the other logo. But no, I'm going to pick this black logo. So I'm going to navigate to where I have the logo. So ladies and gentlemen, I save a white logo and a black logo or a colored logo because I'm not sure what I'm going to use. So I
Super
already
good.
have it, right? Have it handy. You're going to have to figure this on your own. I don't know where Android users put theirs. This is where I put mine, and you can browse. It could just be a document on your phone. I put mine personally in an iCloud. So on my iCloud, I have a logos folder. It's so handy because it matches up to my desktop. So while I'm in the studio, I just upload all my files. Now, here's the controls. Take a look here, gang. You can flip it. It's kind of clunky. It's not super sophisticated, but it's all I need. You can change the size. You can change the opacity. You can change the horizontal and vertical offset. So that's how you change the position of the logo, right? So this is critical for if you're doing an instant post or social post, or knowing, this is really good. You could use this on a movie poster if you wanted. You could do a lockup and actually produce it and then put it in your file so you can see if you're back too far or not close enough or whatever when you're shooting, and never export it. Click OK when you're happy, the back sign. Click the check mark. This is very important. This is with the Lightroom. You have to remember, you have to click OK sometimes. Super important. When you export this, it is only visible when you export the file. Look on the right. You cannot see that logo on my little icon screen. You can only see the logo once it's actually downloaded or exported. This is very important because it's very confusing for people. So look at my photo. You don't see a logo there, right? You do when it's exported. Okay. So how was that for fast? Remember,
that was amazing. I just wanted to say something, but I wanted to like make sure that you went through the entire movie. So you mentioned that this is actually a customization of using your watermark, yes. Which is also, you know, I think a great feature if you're starting to work professionally. I love that you stress the work side, because, you know, it's beautiful. And we talked so much, and you talk so much how important it is to experiment, but also we're here to use these photos to be for professional photographer and to make money with it. So, you know, having your watermark when you show photos, even on top of it, you know, it just gives you the possibility of make sure that unless clients have paid, they won't be able to use the photo.
Yeah. So yeah, that's one reason. And also this is how you make money, because I put a logo there, but what if you say new spring line, you know, buy today or coming now, or look for this. It's a marketing tool to sell, not just for yourself to protect your work, but actually to sell. So I just want to comment on a couple things. Do you remember those drawers we talked about? Good Christ, there's
70,000 million.
So I want to be really clear. Under file type, it's JPEG or TIFF or DNG. And then you have more choices. You have file size, you have 8-bit, 16-bit. You have color settings. Do you want sRGB or Adobe RGB? So again, I can't cover everything in this course, but there are so many things in here to keep looking at. I just want to inspire you and show you more. And it's always under the share, because people ask me this question. First, you click the share button, and then you go to export as. Okay, that's the number one question I get. And look, all different ways. And you make money on this. You can do save the date cards. Look at all this. It doesn't have to be a logo. It can be save the date. And then what if you want a different one? Save the date. You're not limited. It's a PNG file, whatever that means, right? How are we doing on time, honey?
We have about 20 minutes, a little bit more than 20 minutes.
I got good, because I got more. Can I show more?
Of course. Before we get started, I wanted to say a quick hello to Rafael Hidalgo. I don't know if you have met him before. Yes. So Rafa, thank you so much for joining us from Mexico. Saludos. Yes.
I love him. I think we both got COVID together, because we went to a conference, an Adobe conference, and yes. I
think that we are also all part of the iEnergy group,
right? Yes.
If we are a conference, the three of us, you can find us very quickly.
That's right.
Especially when we're together.
That's awesome. All right, so I'm going to carry out this theme here: frames and special effects. So do you remember earlier we were talking about inspiration, and there was a really good question. What do you do when you get dry? One of the things I like to do is I like to try different techniques and different formats. So I recently went and took a tintype class. And if you have not done this, this is World War, Civil War era, early 1900s era photography that you can do today. And there's
Amazing.
workshops all over the world. There's one in Italy I think I want to go to. They do it's in is it in Palermo? I think it's Sicily.
In
I'm
Sicily.
not sure. Yeah. And it's a negative course. Anyway, we'll talk about that.
Please make sure to give me a shout. This is a
Yes.
personal message in public.
So I know I'm in LA and I'm showing you this guy who's in LA, but if you're interested in this kind of thing, they do worldwide. If you start clicking around inside here, you find a whole worldwide community of this. But why am I showing you this for a Lightroom thing other than to get inspired to do different stuff? I'm showing you this because I went, hey, wait a minute. How do I do this in Lightroom? So this is a shot I did. You can actually see my little phone reflection of me shooting my first tintype with a little Holga and my little man. And this is a movie poster for 1883 that just came out, I think last year. I think it was on HBO. So that's a PNG to the right of that I made. Did I say you could put a logo in Lightroom with a PNG? Why, yes, I did. So what does that mean? That means you can take an original image, you can edit it in Lightroom. Notice I put a white vignette around the outer edges of that shot. You can take a PNG file like that Type 55 Polaroid, load it into your cloud, make sure it's transparent. You must have transparency on that. You could load that as a graphic for your watermark in Lightroom.
Wow.
And that's what you have. Right?
So my mind is just kind of like exploding in different directions now.
Thinking outside the box.
I wanted to say one thing. We were talking about inspiration. We're talking about what to do when you're stuck. I will suggest to watch Lisa Carney's tutorials, sessions, classes, whatever you want to find. Just Google her and make sure that you watch what she said in order to get inspired, because my brain is literally in fireworks at the moment.
Well, and I'm going to tell you another kind of stupid secret, but this is me in the middle of the night. I can't sleep for whatever reason. And I'm like, oh, that tintype class was so great. Wait a minute. I can do that in Lightroom and not even in Photoshop, in Lightroom. So, and the key on this one was to make the white vignetting because I wanted the edges to show. And if the picture was too dark on the edge, you couldn't see the film texture needed something to play off of. Mm-hmm. But do you remember we talked about Lightroom is non-destruct? Mm-hmm. Lightroom is non-destruct. So I did the first one and the edges didn't show up. I just opened it up again and added a white vignette. I'm not destroying anything. So I hope this inspires you. So now this was the next thing I did. The same exact thing, only with flowers, with the peonies, because you know I love those peonies flowers. So again, I hope this inspires you all to think differently. Like, how do you add a texture in Lightroom? Because you can't otherwise. You can also do this in Photoshop if you want. So if anyone cares, if you're interested, I have a set. It's now 5 of tintypes on my website. I've already made them. The watermark, the custom watermark is the file on the bottom. You can see they're transparent. And the one on the top is just showing how it looks on the same image. Amazing. And on tintype 4, I did a hue saturation to make it black and white, but all the other ones are the exact same image. And it's available
on Lisa Carney.
Yeah, right. It's on my website on the front if you're interested, and hopefully you'll find it interesting and something you can try. Oh, before I forget, Adobe Max is coming October 15th and 16th, and I will be doing a Lightroom mobile presentation on that. So it's all free. Come and join. I'll talk about that.
It's going to be online and live in LA as well.
That's right. So again, Lightroom presets. Here's another one. I use presets to set a nice warm tone. And then I use that exact same process to do a texture over the top. Again, it's the exact same thing, just it's a different look. It's a harder look, harsher look. So I'm really hoping that gives you guys something to move towards.
Yeah, I think just everybody, nobody's asking questions because everybody's mind is blowing at this moment. I think.
That's awesome. I gotta tell you, I feel like I feel like this is kind of an undersung thing. I'm certain the Adobe engineers did not intend the custom watermark to be anything other than you put your photo logo on there. And I don't think they realized, oh, you could put your client's logo on there. Yeah. Oh, I can put a banner and I could do my Instagram post from my location.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I use a lot of frames for Instagram stories. So if you have like your brand frame, and I usually teach a lot of branded content. And as we speak, and I'm going to, of course, mention you and credit you, but I was literally thinking, you know what, in my branded content, in my brand guidelines, I can have these PNGs as editing tools that you can just add and then share in order to create branded content and to keep consistency when you publish.
And I was going to tell you, Claudia, one of the things I thought about was when again, I don't do the videos, I don't do stories very well. And I hated the graphics that you have inside Instagram. They're so cheesy. They're cheesy. I don't like them. And I thought, oh, how do I do my own? Oh, this is how you do your own.
Yeah. So amazing.
Yeah.
I never used that. I'm completely honest with you. Like I never used it, never thought of it. So that's why I was really here with a firework in my brain, because, and I'm so sorry that you don't get to sleep, but we're so thankful that you don't sleep. So, so we get to use these amazing techniques, and thank you for sharing with us.
Awesome.
And we have Ryan Bennett Ryan is saying, now I know what I'm doing with the rest of my afternoon. Yes, you're contagious. Then that's the beautiful part of having a talented professional that is also so passionate about the work. Thank you, Lisa.
Awesome. My pleasure. Well, and here's the other thing I'm hoping. I am hoping y'all make something that you think is beautiful, really beautiful, and you want to do work. And I normally have a bunch of work showing behind me that I print, but I'm moving in a week. So everything's gone. But I print, as I said earlier, I print my files huge. Okay. Really big. And I want to remind you that super resolution is available in Camera Raw. And I believe you can do it on Lightroom on a desktop. I happen to do it in Camera Raw on Photoshop because I do some other stuff too, my work, but it allows you to increase incredibly your file size. Now, some people use Topaz to do gigapixel to do their resolution. I don't. I happen to use Camera Raw. This is again, you can find it in Adobe Camera Raw. I'll do a little demo on that tomorrow. But this is, let's say it's not just mobile and social and small, but actually large. Okay. And
we have I think that everybody's embracing your ecosystem and cross up. We are talking about using app togethers, and we're talking Lightroom Classic, and Photoshop. But Bruce here has thrown something which I think is also very, very cool. We could use Capture to create textures, to create patterns, to create content, then we can use in Lightroom. So mobile here, because Capture is also available on mobile devices. You can jump on your mobile, create, and you can even like go Lightroom, Capture Lightroom.
Yeah.
So cool. Bruce,
I use Adobe Capture all the time. I mean, all the time. It's one of my favorite apps. So imagine this. And maybe we could do a live demo of this tomorrow. You could take a shot in Lightroom and take that photo, put it in Capture and do a line drawing of it, make a PNG of it, and then take that same exact line drawing and put it back in Lightroom as a watermark and have a drawing over your image. And then you can even offset it if you want. I mean, it's endless what you can do. So I'm ready to actually go on a mobile device and show you some stuff. But first, I wanted to just show you my last plate for how to contact me. So again, you can find me I'm Finishing Station at Instagram, and got a bunch of work up there. You can find me there. Always feel free to email me at lisa@lisacarney.com. I love answering questions about this kind of stuff. I'm really, really into it. Hopefully you can tell.
And that's finishing_station in order to follow.
Yeah. And then, like I said, I'm a full devotee of mobile shooting. So I have a bunch of classes on Creative Live, all on how to do mobile shooting. The bootcamp one it is iPhone. I don't shoot on Android, but you can translate the same information to an Android. But it's all about how does a mobile device work. And again, it's almost all Lightroom. Everything's Lightroom. Macro photography, experimental photography. I have a whole black and white class that's all about using the zone system. And it's like a 2-hour class on mobile photography, but black and white. So,
and all these courses are on your website, lisacarney.com. You can access everything that you have online, or is everything there?
Yeah, links to them. The classes are on Creative Live, but you can link to them through my website. Also, you can read a little bit about it to see if it's even something you're interested in, because it's not for everybody.
So lisacarney.com to have access and discover all the courses that Lisa has there. So if you are enjoying, it looks like everybody is enjoying this class, make sure to go and check all our content on our website.
Cool. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and escape out of this and go to my mobile device. So I'm going to be on my mobile device here, and we can talk about Lightroom. And actually, I'm really curious if anyone has any questions about anything that I showed.
Everybody is nice, amazing. All the comments, Lisa, I think you'll blow people's minds, especially with this last watermark. But yeah, if you do have questions, we have about 15 minutes with Lisa here. So make sure to use this time. I'm going to keep my eyes on the chat. If there are any other question, use this time together to ask Lisa any question you may have by using the camera on Lightroom or anything that we talked about. If something wasn't clear, we have about 15 minutes also to go back or to actually show you on the mobile, because here we have Lisa mobile. Make sure not to give her a call right now, everybody. Right. So I think that we can use the chat. Tune in on behance.net/live for the chat. This is the chat that I'm reading during the live stream here. And Lisa, I will interrupt you if there is any question, but at the moment, people are excited and think that what you've done is amazing.
And forgive me, I have a technical question. Is there any way to just show my phone and not show the Lightroom, or do I just need to close the Lightroom behind it?
Is your Lightroom displaying on your desk, on your desktop?
Yeah. So should I?
So you just minimize. Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. If you
perfect.
just minimize
that,
Sorry. And then maybe place it in the middle of the screen. So
okay, great.
Can just sit in the middle.
Thank you. It's so funny because I'm not a technical genius at this stuff. So it's kind of funny. I make my living with technology, but there you go. Okay, awesome. So right now I'm in my library, and you'll see I have.
And also, Lisa, I think that if you click with your computer, if you just click away on your desktop, we get rid of the little overlay that is on top of the device. Perfect. We're good to go.
Perfect. Thank you. Right here.
Yeah, and we have here.
Oh, I'm sorry, my thing's showing up here. Sorry, yeah. I've got something blocking it right now. This, but yeah.
Perfect.
Awesome.
We are making it full screen. We have our amazing Paco. If you see us going silent, because we are listening to our amazing, I'll say, Adobe Live Angels that is behind the scene, making sure that everything looks amazing. And in fact, here we have a graphic with a mobile already happening.
Awesome.
Thank you, Paco, for making it happen.
I always need technical help. Sorry. Which should make everyone feel good. You know, I can barely turn the computer on. So you guys can see here, I have like almost 68,000 photos on my camera. I like to utilize only. I like to utilize albums to organize. So I'm going to make a suggestion. If you ever have a job, like we could do this together just for organization's sake. I like to do a plus, make a new album, and I'm going to call it Graduation because my son just graduated.
Yay, congratulations.
Okay.
Bravo,
Yay,
bravo.
It was a long road. And then I'm going to go to my recently added. I'm going to close this. And then I'm going to slide to, I have 150 images from graduation, and I can just click and drag. I'm not going to do all of these right now. But I love my baby, and I shoot a lot of pictures of him. And then do you see on the bottom, there's an add to button. I can click to the add to, and then it will let me add to whatever folder I want. You can see by my scrolling that I utilize this a lot. And now I'm going to click on graduation. And now all those images that I happen to have selected are in that folder called graduation. And why this is important is if hopefully I've inspired you guys to go do a lot of shooting, you're going to be overwhelmed by trying to find your images, right? So that's what I'm going to suggest you do is make albums. It's really helpful. And I try to organize all sorts of stuff. I do day for night photography. When I do day for night, I like to have it organized. And if you look at this, it's just downloading for just a second. Well, that doesn't look like a day for night. But if I go to versions, it's going to take a minute to download. You know, everything's in the cloud. I could have pre-downloaded this. I apologize for not doing that. But this way I can store all my images. And then I have all these different versions of day for night that I worked on. So again, I like to talk about work a lot because I think it's important. So with jobs, I've got Cuba, I've got click away workshop. I have my chickens. You can make it whatever you need to. And I think that's super important to keep yourself, keep yourself going. what do I mean by keep yourself going? I mean, you can get overwhelmed so easy, right? And so how do you not be overwhelmed? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my 2 fingers. Do you see how I'm pushing out with my 2 fingers? You can make your thumbnails larger. Amazing. So I can have big thumbnails, which I really like. So let's take a look at this shot for just a second. So this is Prajna. And if I go to my masking button, you will see all the masks I used on him. Now I didn't name them because I'm a bad girl. Actually, you know why I didn't name them? When I did this, you couldn't name them. I'm an early user. So that's Prajna, but also on versions, I've got current version. I've got the first version. Look, see his side of his face is too dark. Then I went in and fixed it. And then I have the original. Look at the original. It's all there, all DNG, all go back to the original, which
all
is
editable, all non-destructive.
I can change my mind 100 times. So for this one, since I made a change, I should probably make a version. So to create a version, you just create version. And I name things really professional, like use this. Or I do 1, 2, 3, 4. Really professional.
Test 1, test 2, test
right?
3.
But
final test.
you know, here's the
test
thing.
To delete.
Right?
Sorry.
This workflow is private. I don't share my DNG or Lightroom files with anybody ever. Ever. And here's why. It's all connected. I will let people look and preview and rate. I do not let them edit my Lightroom files because they'll edit my file and then all those corrections I made, they could destroy. Right? We're not going to do that. I'm going to hit apply. Okay. So does anybody have any quick questions? Because we're actually going to talk about this more later about.
Yeah. And we're about like, I think we have like 3-4 minutes. So I'm going to pass you questions. And also, I think we're going to do like a little bit of a recap in this last minutes of what we've done so far to prepare for tomorrow as well.
Okay.
So the question is from Marsha asking about a new phone. So Marsha is saying, I need a new phone, an iPhone. What's optimum for Lightroom, storage, etc.? I have no clue.
Okay. Well, that is always an impossible for me to question because I don't know what people's jobs are or what they're doing or what their usage is. However, someone once told me many years ago, the answer is always as much as you can afford. So if you can afford the best, the most, get it. That is kind of what I've always followed because, you know, I shoot 10,000 photos a month. What if you only shoot 200 a month? You're going to have different needs. So I think the iPhone 13 is amazing. It's not great on low light shooting. Galaxy cameras or Android cameras are better at that. But I don't shoot low light. I shoot daylight shots and make them look like low light. So that's my workaround.
Amazing. And the rest, Lisa, really, everyone is saying we're just enjoying it. We're appreciating the amazing content, we're appreciating the presentation. We have a lot of mind blown icons saying everyone is just mind blown. It's amazing. Thank you. We have a lot of appreciation for you. So since we have like a couple of minutes here, why don't we jump back on the keynote if you can?
Okay, absolutely.
And we do like a little quick run through. So maybe you can just show us, you know, real quick, the slide that you think they were more important, or just a quick recap in order to wrap up this first day. And of course, everybody, we're going to be back tomorrow with Lisa. So we also have tomorrow we're going to be experimenting a little bit more, but I'm going to let you just kind of recap and just tell us more about tomorrow, please.
Okay. So tomorrow, what we're going to do is I'm going to be doing, we're going to go over these functions, what's new. I just really felt like there needed to be a foundation of what we're doing. Then we can see it. So we're going to talk about the desktop and mobile. So we'll work on these. How do you use a portrait black and white edit? How do we search for somebody and get their preset and use their preset? And then we'll go on the desktop and I'll show you some of the differences. It's going to be back and forth tomorrow, back and forth between mobile and desktop, and the editing. So we're going to talk about masking and some of those fine-tune things that you can do. I'm trying to think what else in here. We're definitely I would like to show you how to do this kind of edit. Like, how can we go from, it won't be Jack, it'll be a different shot, but Jack in the forest, but make this kind of different kind of
dog
editing.
As well, don't you?
Oh yeah. Bear. I got a whole nother dog.
Bear, here it is. Yeah.
I needed a new model, frankly. So what we're going to talk about is we'll do some, the royal we, Hello. We'll start on the phone and do or the mobile device and do an edit, and then we'll take it onto the desktop and I'll show you the differences between the two. So I would make a recommendation. If you can join us tomorrow, please download that handout today. Maybe take a look at it and review it. And then tomorrow it'll be hands-on and you won't so much be going, oh, wait, where did she click? Oh, wait, where? Because you'll already have an idea because you'll know some of the structure of the program.
And by the way, the deck is available, Cody Bear. There are many links in the chat. I'm sure she's going to post it again. So you can just click on that link and just download it and save it as a Dropbox links with all this presentation, with all the amazing information.
Cool. And then maybe, gang, go out and shoot a few shots with Lightroom camera, and then you'll have them ready. So you could do some follow along. Yeah, I think
that's a very great idea. So make sure to use the cameras that Lisa showed us during the stream. There is a lot also detailed inside the deck. So please make sure to go ahead and have a look at the deck. And unfortunately, Lisa, for today, it's time to wrap up and say goodbye because we're going to be back tomorrow at 12 p.m. Pacific time for part 2 with the amazing rockstar of editing, Lisa Carney. And don't forget that Adobe Live is back tomorrow morning. We start at 9:30 Pacific time with part 2 of how to use the new features in Adobe Lightroom with a Ben Word, which is a product manager for Lightroom. So again, use this space here at Adobe Live to ask your question. This is a safe space to learn together. And you can always come back both on Behance and on YouTube in order to watch the replay. I know that we shared a lot of information. You can always watch back, and maybe if you're ready of a photo, if you now go ahead and take some photo, you can watch the replay already during this afternoon and apply some of the techniques that Lisa has highlighted during this wonderful presentation. Lisa, so grateful to have you here. It's always amazing. And we'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah, grazie, Bella.
Grazie. So I'll see everybody at 12 p.m. Pacific time on Adobe Live. Ciao.